Wayne Booth's The Rhetoric of Fiction transformed literary criticism by challenging rigid theories about how novels should be written and analyzed. Booth argues that fiction is not just a static object but a dynamic interaction between authors, texts, and readers. His ideas, such as the implied author and unreliable narrator, have become essential tools for critics. The book's lasting impact lies in its rejection of dogmatic rules, its focus on ethic telling, and its belief that literature thrives on pluralism, embracing multiple perspectives rather than one correct approach. Booth begins by dismantling mid 20th century critical dogmas that judged novels based on abstract ideals like purity or realism. He spends the first 5 chapters questioning rules that demanded authors remove their voice or avoid emotional engagement to achieve true art. He shows how these rules ignore the messy human heart of storytelling. For example, critics claimed pure art must exclude readers' emotions, but Booth argues emotion is unavoidable. Even a cold, detached narrator stirs feelings in readers. Similarly, the push for realism often led to narrations that dismissed imaginative or symbolic styles. Booth warns that such rigid standards limit creativity and ignore the diversity of what great authors actually do. He compares these dogmas to political extremism, where the pursuit of purity leads to exclusion and distortion. A key target for Booth is the idea that authors should be invisible. Critics like Barthes later declared the death of the author, arguing that focusing on the writer's intent limits a text's meaning. Booth disagrees. While he acknowledges authors cannot control how every reader interprets their work, he insists they actively shape stories through rhetorical choices. Authors create an implied reader, meaning a version of themselves crafted through style, tone, and technique. This concept helps readers analyze a text's moral and emotional direction without speculating about the real author's life. For Booth, dismissing the author entirely ignores how storytelling is a purposeful act, a conversation between writer and reader. Booth introduces the implied author and unreliable narrator to explore how authors guide readers. The implied author is not the real person but the artistic presence, inferred values, and style. For instance, Jane Austen's Emma uses a witty, omniscient narrator to steer readers toward forgiving the heroine's flaws, while Mickey Spillen's crime novels let violent narrators go unchallenged, implicitly endorsing their ethics. Booth emphasizes that narrators can mislead. An unreliable narrator might seem trustworthy but express skewed morals, forcing readers to question the story's message. These tools show how authors use rhetoric, not just plot or language, to influence readers' judgments. Ethics are central to Booth's approach. He rejects the notion that art should be morally neutral, arguing that all stories inevitably convey values. Even a novel claiming to avoid judgment, like modernist works with ambiguous narrators, makes ethical statements through what it omits or obscures. Booth worries that impersonal narration, popular in 20th century fiction, can confuse readers or normalize harmful perspectives. For example, a narrator who glamorizes greed without criticism might sway readers to admire a corrupt character. Booth does not advocate censorship but urges readers to critically engage with the text. Later expands this in The Company We Keep, comparing reading to forming friendships. We should choose books that challenge us to grow ethically. In the 1983 Afterword, Booth revisits his work with humility and humor. He admits the original book had flaws, an overconfident tone, heavy use of classic examples over modern texts, and clarifies his stance. He stresses that his work, The Rhetoric of Fiction, was not attacking experimental styles but defending the need for intentional ethical storytelling. He adds that language, while crucial, is not the only factor in meaning. Human relationships matter too. To prove his method's versatility, he analyzes Beckett's Company, a fragmented postmodern text, showing how elusive narrators create implied authors and ethical dilemmas. Booth's pluralism shines through his willingness to adapt. He does not dismiss other theories but integrates their insights, arguing that no single approach holds all the answers. For example, while he critiques Bach's Death of the Author, he argues that readers play a role in creating meaning. His work bridges traditional and modern criticism, valuing both authorial craft and reader response. This open mindedness makes The Rhetoric of Fiction enduring. It equips critics to analyze diverse texts without imposing rigid rules.